Good evening and welcome to this edition of Newsnight. My name is Charles Odongtho, and this evening I'm with Andrew Mwenda. He is the CEO of The Independent. And of course, what do you want me to say?
Your great-grandfather.
Old man of the clan. You can. By the way, a Mutoro historically can never be a father or a great-grandfather or any of that to a Luo. Because historically, I have found out that the Batoro came from the great Luo.
Yeah, that's not true.
So don't even go into that,
so
because
now, don't mistake. It's already explained to you. It is the Toro royal family and the Bunyoro royal family
that came from the Toro, the Luo lineage.
Yes. The ordinary Batoro are not necessarily Luo.
But you just told me a week ago that you belong to
the aristocratic core of the Batoro came from the Luo. So the rulers, not the ordinary Batoro.
So I, in other words, rule you.
So like Oyo, you can hear his name Oyo. His father was Olimi, you know, things like that.
Yes, Okwir.
Okwir.
Yes.
The brother of Nobleman.
So we rule you people.
Yes.
That is why I think that you can never
be like that. The Luo provided the aristocracy for Toro and Bunyoro.
Wonderful. But anyway, today, Andrew, a raft of constitutional amendments that are being suggested by cabinet. Do you think this is good? Do you think it is possible?
To be honest, I've never understood. First, you know, my knowledge of constitutions, okay, other than the ancient Greek constitutions, which used to last very many years. If you look at the first major constitution written by the Greeks by Solon in 594 BC, it lasted a long time before Cleisthenes came and changed it. So if you look at the American Constitution, it was written now, it's how many years?
Over 230
yes,
now?
And they have done only 26 amendments. Of those 26 amendments, the actual amendments have done 14, because the first 12 amendments, the constitution could not be passed until they had done 12 amendments. Then the other states accepted it and they came into the union. So they have amended it only 14 times. This Uganda constitution in 2005, they amended half of it. They had about 112 amendments. Now it is 20, they want to have 500 amendments. And I am just trying to think, is it that perhaps a country like this one needs a big book of a constitution and amendments every week? Am I stuck in the past that a constitution should look like that of the US, which does not easily get amended? I really don't know, but I find it funny that the constitution of Uganda changes the way any person changes the underwear. Let me,
yeah, I know that, but let me just say this briefly, that one of the characteristics of a good constitution that it should have life, and that means that you can amend it depending on the circumstance. But constitutional experts warn that it depends on the issue. Now, in this case, is it, paramount that issues like the land law, Article 26, that the cabinet is saying that there should be a change to make government have the possibility of maybe by force grabbing some piece of land, of course with compensation, depending on the national interest. Is that really tenable?
I think that it is okay. It is simple that even under the current constitution you can do it. Because government right now can compulsorily acquire land from you for national security, for public health, or for infrastructure development. If they're building an airport, a road, you cannot refuse. Once the government designs a road, you cannot say, I will stay here. There will be compulsory acquisition of that land. So government can use the existing law without amending it, actually to achieve its objectives. Of course, the president wanted to amend it to say land can be compulsorily acquired for private investment. But say for private investment, you can take it on matters of national security or matters of national infrastructure. They don't need to amend the constitution. I think there is an obsession in this country with amending the constitution. Let me tell you another thing. You see, I think that a constitution being a supreme law of the land from which all other laws are derived should enjoy a certain degree of prestige and a certain degree of permanence, that it isn't something you amend every week.
That's why they call it the grand norm.
Yes, the grand norm.
The biggest.
And because of that, the constitution should actually state broader principles. Now, but you see what I'm discussing is theory. I just want to understand from a political economy point of view. Is it that if you look at the way power is organized, the way power is distributed, the way power is exercised, and the way power is reproduced in a country like Uganda, maybe what is necessary for national integration is to have a very flexible constitution that can easily be amended to accommodate different and emerging interests and concerns at any one time. I am sure the opposition would like to see the constitution amended to achieve very many democratic aspirations they do not.
Electoral reforms that they want.
Because one of the problems you have with the US constitution, it took them 100 years. Okay, for that matter, 90 years from the time they declared independence to the time they abolished slavery. Then it took them another 100 years from abolition of slavery to getting African Americans to vote. Do you see? Yeah. So that it was so difficult for any president in America to actually even push to amend the constitution. So that makes me also become suspect that maybe you need a very flexible constitution which is easier to amend. Perhaps that way you can easily accommodate the new democratic pressures that are emerging.
But then that principle is only rational in thinking. But then the issue about the constitution, about laws, is that you need something, you need a system that then protects the interest of the country, because you cannot, you cannot guarantee a person who will be, a good president. Now, let's go to another issue, which is also paramount. They are suggesting, I think, Article 85, which allows, in our case right now, Parliament to determine their own emoluments. Now, this is the thing. The Cabinet is saying that they should amend that part and say, let there be a salary board appointed by the president. Would that solve it really? Right now, Parliament decides their own salary, and yet the opposition is suggesting this, but the opposition is suggesting that let it be an independent salary commission like the Kenyan situation.
Appointed by who? Appointed,
I think, with by public service with the approval of Parliament, but then that it will be maybe at the behest of Parliament and not the president.
I'm not so sure. You see, assuming Parliament appointed a commission to determine its own wages, so that commission is appointed by Parliament, it will be subject to Parliament. Do you see? If you say the president of Uganda has never stopped the Parliament increasing its wages, because then he can, if he appoints a commission, then he can use that commission to trade with parliamentarians for votes in order for him to increase their salaries. If perhaps I would say perhaps a panel of judges should be the one that they should propose, that a panel of judges should be the one to sit and set the salaries of parliamentarians. But you see, because I think that the laws of Uganda are theoretical, they are not practical. If you look at the life of an ordinary member of parliament in Uganda, you've seen today in the New Vision, what is the front page? A member of parliament called Odongtho, he's losing his house. He's my neighbor there in Mutunga, own land next to his house. They are taking it. All members of parliament in Uganda are heavily indebted. For us, we think that members of parliament in Uganda are highly paid. The reality, me and you know, that members of parliament are highly indebted, because the way our political system is that the electorate act as predators on members of parliament, and they keep sucking all the money out of them. So you can theorize, you can moralize, you can pontificate that this is a public office, but unless you are able to understand and appreciate the actual challenges electoral democracy imposes upon individual members of parliament and the pressures it places on their income, then you can never amend this law. I personally think that part of the problem of our constitutions is they are derived from what you call, quote-unquote, best practice from other countries. So it reflects a political consensus in other countries, but it does not reflect the actual political dynamics of our country. If you're going to discuss pay for members of parliament, you have to ask yourselves, how can it be that members of parliament in Uganda earning 30 million shillings and 80% of them are heavily indebted, and few of them even earn 20% of their salaries? Why?
Now, as we wind up...
Please answer for me that question. Why is it that these highly paid, exorbitantly paid MPs are all broke and heavily indebted?
I thought you were asking a rhetorical question, which does not need my answer. But let me answer this.
Let me show you this. If you go to that parliament, MPs are afraid of appearing at parliament because people have loaned them money.
And they're waiting for them across national theatre. Yes. Now, this is what I think, to your question. I think that human needs are insatiable, and that if you give me 50 million now, tomorrow I will have needs that go beyond that. Now, in order to guarantee that there is safety, especially there is a safety valve, I think that we need to put in place systems, which is maybe like a law like this. But then, as you wind up, what do you think is the best way forward that you can advise? The best way forward is,
I personally think that we need to separate the member of parliament from the constituency, so that he's not a subject to predation from the voters. Political parties like in South Africa and like in Rwanda, and in many countries in Europe, a political party should run and people should elect a political party. The political party should choose members of parliament, so that the individual called Charles Odongtho does not face the electorate asking for money. It is the political party NRM FDC that faces the electorate. Now, a political party is a nucleus institution. You cannot easily ask for money from it. There, you will move politics from individual predation towards much more policy-oriented political parties.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew Mwenda. That is him. He is the CEO of the Independent News Magazine. He's called Andrew Mwenda.
An old man of the clan.
There you are. I now hand you back to the news with Maurice.